and welcome back to Cheap Lazy Vegan and another meal prep video. Today we have another high protein, low calorie, delicious plant-based meal prep. I made enough food for myself for the next 4 days, and I'm gonna actually include the calories and the protein amounts in this video for every meal. But in summary, basically every day it's gonna be roughly almost 100 grams of protein and I think a little below 1700 calories. I'm super excited to eat this. It's gonna be so delicious. Definitely check out the description for the recipes that will be linked below, and hopefully you guys enjoy this meal prep. Let's get started. Before we jump into the recipes, I have a very quick message from Complement, who are partnering with me in today's video. Guys, if you haven't yet heard of Complement Essential, it is my favorite multivitamin made for and by plant-based eaters. It focuses on the key nutrients that might be difficult to get on a plant-based diet alone, even if you follow a really healthy and balanced plant-based diet, which is what I always recommend. There are some things that might still be difficult to find, so I like to have Complement Essential for my essentials, okay? Just to make sure that I'm covering my bases. And it's so simple and easy because they've done the homework for you and they've just basically designed a multivitamin that is for people that follow a predominantly plant-based diet. So if you guys want to get 15% off, make sure you check out Complement and use my code CHEAPLAZYVEGAN. And if you want to save even more money, make sure you subscribe, and that'll give you more savings, and it'll send you the products on a regular basis so that you do not miss out on taking your vitamins. And since this video is about protein, they also have plant-based protein powders. They've got a chocolate and they have this unflavored protein powder, which I'm using in this video. I love having protein powders and just adding them into different things. Recently, I've added this into the mango chia pudding recipe that I'm going to show you, which is amazing and I love it so much, and it just adds so much extra protein and makes it more filling and more satisfying, helps you grow muscle and all that good stuff. Yeah, again, you can use my code CHEAPLAZYVEGAN to get 15% off. Now back to your meal prep.
The first thing we're gonna prep is this sort of taco or fajita bowl with some veggies, some tofu, we've got some crispy chickpeas, and some rice. This is kind of like a simplified version of my vegan fajita bowl recipe, which I'll link below, and I'll show you how I made this one. So I'm just getting started by chopping up the veggies. So I'm using some red onion, and I'm also gonna slice up some bell pepper. And obviously, if you're making this at home, you can feel free to use whatever veggies you would like, depending on your own preference. And then into a large wok, I'm just going to add a little bit of oil. I'm using this oil spray that I normally use so that it controls the amount of oil I use, and it obviously allows me to use less oil than just free pouring. Anyways, I'm also going to add in some minced garlic. So we're just going to saute these veggies together for a few minutes until it's, nicely cooked. And I just want to say, if you are trying to lose weight and watch your calories, you can definitely still eat oil, just less of it, and just like watch how much you're eating, because it's very easy to overeat on oil because people just free pour it and they literally don't even know how much they're using. And all those calories that you're, using for oil, you could be using for actual food. Not that oil isn't food, but it's not really food. You know what I mean? Anyways, I'm just seasoning the veggies with some salt and pepper and just cooking them until they are nicely cooked. I added a little splash of water just to help the cooking process, and there you have it. Now I'm just going to portion these out into 4 different containers, and then we can move on to the next step. Next, I'm going to use that same wok, and I'm going to add, once again, a little bit of oil with my little oil spray, and then I'm going to crumble up some extra firm tofu. We are making a vegan version of a ground beef, so we're making ground tofu, and this has been one of my go-tos recently. I just love making this, and you can have it in like a taco bowl or in tacos, or you can even make spaghetti bolognese, which, so good. Anyway, that recipe is coming soon. We're going to add our spices. For the spices, I use some smoked paprika, garlic powder, onion powder, and nutritional yeast. And then you just want to mix that well. And then I'm going to add in some soy sauce, dark soy sauce, and a little bit of liquid smoke to give it that little smoky flavor. And as I always say with all my recipes, feel free to add any other seasonings you would like to add, or omit something if you don't feel like you need it, do whatever you want, okay? And this can be a really versatile recipe. You could just make this in advance and just keep it in a container and use it as your protein for whatever meals that you choose. Next, I'm going to make my crispy chickpeas. If you watched my air fryer recipes video, I showed you how easy it is to make crispy, delicious chickpeas in the air fryer with no oil. So I make these chickpeas literally probably at least once a week, if not more, because it's so simple. So into my chickpeas this time, I just added a little bit of taco seasoning and I literally just eyeballed it and then I put it in the air fryer. I'll leave a link to my no oil crispy chickpeas recipe below, so check that out if you want to see the temperature and the times. But yeah, those chickpeas turned out really good, and as you can see, now I'm assembling my lovely fajita bowl, and I actually used like a rice and lentil mix that I already had in the fridge that I had cooked up the other day. So I just portioned that out and used that for this meal prep, because why work harder? Let's work smarter. And for the sauce, I decided to just go for a store-bought salsa because they are delicious. They are low calorie. It adds tons of flavor, and obviously we're doing like a fajita bowl. So yeah, whenever I was ready to eat this, I just microwaved it and then I just added a little salsa, and it was so good. And these are also very freezer friendly, so feel free to freeze these and enjoy them later. The next recipe is going to be a breakfast or a snack. I'm making these breakfast sandwiches that are seriously so easy, like you don't need a recipe, okay? So I'm just cutting up some tofu. This is extra firm tofu, and I'm cutting them into these kind of thin rectangular shapes. And again, I'm adding a little bit of oil onto a non-stick pan, and I'm gonna cook these up on each side until it's nice and golden, as you can see here. Just basically pan frying this with a tiny bit of oil. And this is probably, no, not probably, this is the most common way that I make tofu, okay, because it's so easy. It's kind of like frying up an egg. And speaking of egg, I'm actually adding a little kala namak onto each piece of tofu once it's nicely cooked in order to give it a more eggy kind of taste, okay? So the kala namak, which is also known as black salt, is going to make your tofu taste like a fried egg, okay? Trust me on this one. I do this all the time. And once your tofu is cooked, you can now assemble your lovely breakfast sandwiches. And I'm just gonna add some hummus onto each piece. And then to really up the protein and also make this taste extra good, I'm actually adding some vegan turkey slices onto each sandwich. Okay, so I'm using Eve's vegan turkey, which is my favorite vegan turkey, but you can use whatever you want. You don't even have to add the, veggie turkey, but it increases the protein and I feel like it makes it taste extra good. So I'm also gonna add, of course, the pan-fried tofu egg thing, and then I added some sriracha, and that is how easy it is to make a vegan breakfast sandwich. Let me know if you guys want me to do like a video on vegan breakfast sandwiches, because I feel like I could come up with different concoctions. Let me know. Next recipe I meal prepped is going to be a Greek pasta salad. We're gonna make it extra high protein, and it is so delicious. My mouth is watering as I speak. Now, first thing I'm gonna use is going to be a vegan tofu feta, and I didn't show you how to make it in this video because I've showed you a million times, okay? So I already made the vegan feta, and the olive oil, the reason why I showed you there is to remind you that I actually didn't add olive oil into the seasoning. That's the only difference, because I decided to add the olive oil into the entire pasta, and I wanted to avoid adding too much oil, so I didn't add olive oil into the marinade, which I normally do for the vegan feta. Anyway, to make this recipe extra high protein, I decided to use a high protein pasta to really bump up the protein per serving, but you can feel free to use whatever pasta of your choice. And while the pasta is cooking, you can feel free to chop up your veggies. I'm using some bell pepper, I'm using some red onion, and this time instead of slicing it into thin slices, I'm actually dicing the bell pepper and red onion so that it's smaller pieces. I'm also using cucumber, but I'm actually seeding the cucumber. I'm just cutting out a little bit of that middle part because this is a meal prep, right? So we want this to last a long time in the fridge and not get too soggy. And cucumber, because it's really high in water content, it's gonna make the pasta salad a little bit more soggy faster than normal. Okay, so that's why I'm seeding the cucumber, and I'm again dicing the cucumber into small pieces. And I'm also going to dice up some delicious fresh parsley, which really elevates this. And I'm also adding some grape tomatoes, but I didn't cut them in half because once again, I don't want the salad to become super soggy. So I'm just keeping them whole. And for extra protein, I'm also adding in a can of chickpeas, drained and rinsed. And then of course, the cooked pasta that I rinsed in cold water. And this is a Greek pasta salad, so we can't skip the black olives. And then I'm gonna add my tofu feta. Oh my God, my mouth is literally watering. This is so good, guys. This is so good, okay? Anyways, now we gotta dress this up, okay? So I am squeezing some fresh lemon. I'm a big fan of those lemon juices that you keep in the fridge and using that for sauces. But for this, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a little bit fancy. I'm actually gonna squeeze my lemon. By the way, guys, fun fact, I made that lemon squeezer thing. What is that thing called? I made that in pottery class. I'm not that proud of it, but I made it, okay? And I used it. Anyways, we are keeping the dressing very simple, so I'm just using that juice of the lemon, and we're also doing red wine vinegar, some nutritional yeast, and then we're doing olive oil. Now remember, the 2 tablespoons of olive oil I didn't add into the tofu feta, I just added it into the dressing. So yeah, I don't know if it makes a difference. Maybe I should have just added it to the tofu feta and it wouldn't have made a difference. If you want, you can add more olive oil, okay? But I'm trying to make this a more like low calorie sort of meal prep, so I didn't want to add too much oil, especially when it's literally not needed. Okay, this was so good. Like, you don't need to add additional oil. Okay, you can if you want, but if weight loss is your goal, this is perfection. Okay, you don't need to add extra. Okay, anyways, we've added the dressing. As you can see, it is jam-packed in there. Okay, that entire bowl is jam-packed. The struggle is real in mixing this. Okay, a couple things to remember about trying to eat for weight loss is volume eating and high protein eating. So high protein is going to help you feel more satiated when you eat a meal, so it's going to keep you full longer and less likely to, keep wanting to eat more. And high volume means you want to pick foods that are low calorie dense, so lots of veggies. Okay, veggies and even fruit. A lot of people are like, oh my god, fruit, it's so high in sugar. Literally no one is getting fat eating fruit unless you followed raw tofu. Okay, unless you are eating 20 bananas a day, you are not going to get fat eating a normal amount of fruit. Okay, eating fruit is not the reason why people are having problems with their weight. Okay, unless you follow, again, you're like a fruitarian. Anyways, moving on. I forgot why I'm ranting. Okay, I forgot what I'm ranting about. That's the salad. It's so good. Okay, I'm dividing this into 4 giant servings. It's a pretty decent amount of food. I really filled up these large containers. It's so good. I definitely am making this as a part of my regular rotation because the tofu, the chickpea pasta, the chickpeas, those are all high in protein. And then of course we got lots of veggies, lots of fiber, and it's so simple and easy. It's so good, you guys. Highly recommend trying this out. And last but definitely not least, this is another one of my hyper fixations recently, which is mango coconut chia pudding. I am literally obsessed right now with this. So into a large bowl, I'm adding in some canned coconut milk and some almond or soy milk. Now, obviously you can use more coconut milk, but it's going to be higher in calories because canned coconut milk, especially if you're using full fat, is very high in calories. And then we're going to add some protein powder. I'm using the Complement protein powder. And then we're going to do some shredded coconut. That part is optional, but I feel like it adds like an extra oomph. Okay. And then of course we're going to add chia seeds. Okay. Chia seeds, high in fiber, high in healthy fats, just absolute power food. So we're doing chia seeds, and then we're also going to add some vanilla extract. That part is optional. I feel like it adds, an extra oomph once again. Anyways, and then we're going to do some sort of a sweetener. So I used a sugar-free vanilla syrup, which was absolutely delicious and fine and fantastic, but you can use maple syrup or agave nectar or whatever you want. Okay. So sweeten it however way you want. And then we're just going to mix it together until it is nice and mixed. And then this is when you can portion these out into your proper servings. I'm doing 4 servings. I like to top it with some plain coconut yogurt. Okay. So more coconut deliciousness. And then of course you got to top with some mango. I'm just using frozen mango chunks. There you go. This I wanted to make sort of like a healthy breakfasty version of sticky rice mango, which is like a Thai dessert, which is like the best dessert ever. It's like so good. And this literally, guys, I crave this thing. It is so good. It's healthy. It's high protein. Oh, you got to try it. Okay. You got to try it.
Alright you guys, so that is it for my high protein, low calorie, beginner friendly, plant-based meal prep. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you check out the recipes that we linked below. If you enjoy any of the recipes, make sure you leave me a 5-star review on my blog post. Those help me a lot. And yeah, I'm gonna also link my meal prep playlist below. So if you guys wanna watch more meal prep videos and get more inspiration, you can do that as well. And yeah, let me know if you guys enjoyed this video in the comment section below, and give me a big thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. And of course, don't forget to check out Complement. Get that 15% off using my code CHEAPLAZYVEGAN. And thank you so much to Complement once again for partnering with me in today's video. All right, you guys, thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.